Minister.
Man, don't let that camera hit my pants, brother, because I got the jogging suit
Yes,
on.
sir. It's all good. Yes, sir. We'll be good. We'll be good. Okay, and I'm getting a notification now, Brother Minister. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record, the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a great guest, one who has labored, sacrificed, and helped to rebuild and reestablish the nation. Brother Student Minister Donald Muhammad of St. Louis, Missouri. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother. And thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. It's an honor. I'm very humbled that you would take time out of your busy schedule to give us some information as well as inspiration, sir. My sister Miriam extends the greeting as well. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Minister, for people who may not know, my parents are familiar with you for the rebuilding and things of this nature. Can you let us know when you first heard the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Yes, sir. Around 1973, 1974. But I knew I was a Muslim back in 73, but I only studied from the Muslim Student Association literature. But once I read Message to the Black Man, Our Savior Has Arrived, Fall of America, and How to Eat to Live, Book 1 and Book 2, that motivated me to come into the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir. And what year did you register, sir?
I came in 1975. He was on the heels of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad leaving.
Yes, sir. And walaikum salam, Sister Teresa Pearl. And when you said you came in on the heels of that, could you put us in what was it like to be in the nation in 1975?
Well, it was a lot of fervor, a lot of movement, a lot of motivation, because the fervor was, and the code word was, let's build a nation. That's what it was, you know. And then in March of that year, Minister Akbar came from New York to St. Louis. And I had never seen a man work that hard in the cause of Islam. And as a matter of fact, he became my mentor, you know. I wanted to work just like him. But at the same time, I was a hard worker, but I had never worked for the cause of Allah.
Praise be to Allah. And I want to make sure that we thank you and thank your family for their sacrifice as well. What made you stand back up with the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Well, actually in 75, things was going down, you know. Minister Akbar came into St. Louis, and then the spring of 76, he left. So basically, by that time, the Department of Captaincy had been disbanded. So, you know, I learned very early, me being a student of sociology, when you create a void, you got to be able to fill that void. So, you know, and then I actually, during that time, I really left the mosque and I started praying in the Islamic Center on Friday. And then in June of 77, Minister Akbar came back to St. Louis because he had went to Chicago to become the national assistant to Imam Wafdeen Muhammad. So we were both praying at the Islamic Center. And then he came back to St. Louis to go into business. And then I looked at him with 7 children and a wife, and he was in business. So that motivated me to go into business. So I went into the dry cleaning industry, and I had an ice cream store. So the minister used to come to St. Louis by himself, and he used to ask me to, you know, clean his suits and press his suits and things like that. And I would do that, you know. It was quite a journey from that time up to now.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderful. And once you had your dry cleaning businesses, you were a success. How did you get into the ministry in the Nation of Islam? Like, how did you get to become a minister?
Well, let me say this, brother. In 1978, of course, we know that Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan stood up the first or second week in September in 77.
Yes, sir.
Spring of 1978, Minister Farrakhan drove to St. Louis by himself. And I had taken, at that time, I was working as a juvenile officer, and I had taken lunch in Brother Akbar's office. Minister Farrakhan drove up, and he came in the office and sit down and began to talk about how he was going to rebuild the Nation of Islam. And then a couple of weeks later, Brother Jabril came into St. Louis. So a few weeks after that, we went to work and we got started. As a matter of fact, we started in the basement of Brother Akbar building, with a study group. And I just recently found out that there was another study group in St. Louis that I didn't know anything about. That's the way the minister did it back in those days. He would set up more than one study group in cities, and we didn't even know who they were. So now in '78, Minister Akbar went back to Chicago to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And then one day he told me to take the rostrum, and I took the rostrum, and I've been on the rostrum ever since, except for short stint as a captain. I was a captain also, and I was also a minister in St. Louis. I was a minister in Kansas City. So we was moving around helping to establish the nation.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. When
so that was in
did you
78,
realize? Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. In '78, that's when I first went into the ministry.
Okay, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Okay, my next question is, sir, how did your parents feel about you joining the nation?
Well, when I actually joined the nation, my brother and my father had transitioned, but my mother, she was a good Christian lady. And she said once to me, she said, "Boy, your daddy is turning over in his grave." But I didn't say anything. But at the end, she became proud of me. And I'm grateful to Allah about
Praise
that.
Be to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And okay, my next question is, how did you grow into faith as a minister to believe, since you were prior to 75, that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was still physically alive?
Well, I remember, I forget what year it was. I believe it was in the early 80s. He was a brother out of Florida, I believe, Tallahassee, Florida. And he was in St. Louis. He was living here temporarily. And he had went on a tour with the minister. And he came back and he called me about 1 o'clock in the morning. He had to meet me. So he gave me the information that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was still alive. Well, I mean, it sent a shockwave through me. So I began to weep, brother. And in that weeping, of course, I felt good, but at the same time, I had to grow into the fact that he was, in fact, alive. And I discovered that the more that I believed that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was alive, the more success that we had here in the city of St. Louis in our rebuilding and our establishing mosque here in the city of St. Louis. And that's very, very real. That we have to go beyond belief. We have to know he's alive through the work that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is doing.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Excellent. My next question is, in your time in St. Louis, I mean, since before there was like the first mosque in St. Louis, you've been a minister. Have you ever faced a time of fear? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Yes, sir. I mean, the times that I guess you could call it fear. The minister has removed me twice from post, brother. And that's not a good feeling, for making a mistake, on several occasions. First, he removed me as a captain. Then he removed me as a student minister. So going through that trauma, people are looking at you all funny and everything like that, thinking that you're a hypocrite or something like that. That's kind of fearful, And
Yes,
but the minister admonished
yes,
me, and I know that the minister was watching me to see what I was going to do, because most people who get removed as a captain or a minister don't come back. They leave, but I didn't have no other place to go. So I just went back in the ranks, and kept on soldiering, brother. And then Allah blessed me in '85. He called me to Chicago and made me the minister here in St. Louis, and I've been on post ever since.
Praise be to Allah. My goodness. Yes, sir. I have to stress that enough. I can't thank your family for their sacrifice as well as yours since 1985. What advice would you give to the younger believers of how to hold on to their faith, you know, through trial and error?
Well, what I would tell a young believer, as I do now, often tell them, just keep learning, keep studying, keep working, and keep having faith. And then, it's a developmental process. You can't know everything, but at the same time, we got too much material now. I can't call it too much, but we got enough now that can hold us spiritually. So just keep developing, keep studying, and keep listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Read your Holy Quran, and then go back into the books of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Please don't forget to study, guys. And also, please continue to read Closing the Gap. And I think that's enough to give us faith in order to hold on to the rope of Allah and never let go.
Allahu Akbar. Yes, sir. Beautiful. And my next question is, what was the role of St. Louis leading up to the Million Man March? And how did the Million Man March personally impact you?
Oh, my brother, it impacted me in a very, very beautiful way, because I had never seen a response like that in my whole life. And I think St. Louis was one of the cities that had more people going to watching than any other city of our size. We chartered 3 airplanes. We rented every bus and every van that we could. And as a matter of fact, on that 4th plane, what happened on the 4th plane, a sister that was already in DC supposed to have canceled it, but we didn't have enough rides for the people. So since she didn't cancel it, that was a blessing from Allah. So we put people on that flight, on that 707 for $75 round trip back to Washington, D.C., back to St. Louis. So it was a very beautiful situation. And it gave a different dimension of the Nation of Islam that we had never seen before. And that was due to Allah guiding and directing Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That day should go down in everybody's history, not only in America, but around the world, because it did have impact around the world. But of course, you know how Shaitan is. They try to write us out of history, but they cannot deny that that day actually happened, my brother. And I'm happy and proud that I was a part of it, and I was a part of that history.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And that was I wish I could have been there, but I'm glad to see that St. Louis represented. 3 chartered airplanes to the Million Man March. This is my first. I've never heard that before. People chartering planes. Praise be to Allah. And thank you and your staff for doing such. My next question is, what has been your greatest trial?
Let me clarify. At that time, Minister Akbar was here to help us as well. I have to put that out there. Yeah, I can't take all you know. Will a man rob God? Yes. I ain't gonna rob nobody.
Yes, sir.
Tithes and offering.
Sister Teresa Pearl,
you want to take it and use it for yourself. I can't do that.
Yes, sir. Brother Brandon Cashborn Muhammad says, all praise due to Allah. Sister Teresa Pearl says, yes, the Million Man March is our history. My sister Miriam says, all praise due to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Thank you all. My next question for you, Brother Minister, is what has been your greatest trial in your tenure in the Nation of Islam, and how have you overcome that?
Well, I guess the trials would also be the fears that I've had. You know, when the minister, you know, nobody wants to displease the minister. Okay, and you walk around with a guilt feeling if you know you have done something wrong and he have admonished you. You know, that's a trial within itself, brother. You know, so all praise it. Those, but not trials of work and people and things like that. I've overcome all of them. You know, what somebody think about you, et cetera, et cetera. Those are not trials. But you know, I enjoy the trials of work. If something is in front of me that has to get done. You know, I mean, yes, I don't stop until it get done. But those are my biggest trials and my biggest fears is when I was removed from post.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. What has been your greatest?
I'm answering questions correctly for you, brother.
Oh yes. Oh man, this is very, very humbling and powerful testimony, sir. And thank you for that. What has been your greatest joy in your tenure in the Nation of Islam?
All praise due to Allah. Well, we was bringing the minister into the city of St. Louis, my brother. It was at the Kiel Auditorium. It's not called the Kiel Auditorium now, but we put 10,000 Black people at the Kiel Auditorium. When the minister came up, and after I introduced him, he referred to me as Minister Donald Muhammad. And that's when I got the name Muhammad. That was the greatest joy that was in my life, for him to give me the name Muhammad. Alhamdulillah.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Okay. What can you go into some of I hear the numbers of some of the laborers, great laborers like yourself, who have packed arenas for the Muhammad Louis Farrakhan. I can't fathom putting thousands of people in the seat. What type of work did you have to do to get 10,000 people to come here, the Muhammad Louis Farrakhan, in the city of St. Louis?
Well, we did it twice at Kill Artillery. We put, that was twice with 10,000. We put 15,000 at the arena, and during the National Black Political Convention, we put 25,000 in the dome. But it takes a lot of hard work, my brother. It takes first of all, you need time. You have to come up with a marketing plan in order to do so. You have to understand public relations. You have to understand advertisement and marketing, radio ads, TV ads, because, you got to remember, man makes things happen. And then also it takes the soldiers, the brothers, the FOI and the MGT going out, soliciting and selling tickets, et cetera, and then pretty soon, if it's the only thing that's happening in your city, then that means the people will come, even if they're just coming based on their curiosity. But the minister packed 10,000. I can't say we packed 10,000, but if it wasn't for the minister coming, it never would have happened. So the minister was very pleased with that. And that's how I got Muhammad, my brother.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful,
press
sir.
Conferences,
brother,
I'm leaving out some things, press conferences and things like that, connecting with different community organizations, group ticket sales, and all of that, going into churches and having a relationship with pastors, having a relationship with community leaders. Now, that's a part that I learned from Minister Akbar, is that I learned how to work out of the mosque and how to connect the mosque to the community. And that's how we get it done. And during those days, there wasn't no social media. We had to go out with flyers. We had to go out and put up posters and things like that. And I think social media, in some cases, have made us lazy, because we totally depend on social media oftentimes. And the things that I notice right now, that when people should call you on a certain issue or some business, they'll text you, and that's not a very intimate, humane thing to do, in my humble opinion, because I want to hear you and I want to feel you oftentimes, especially when something is very important. But that's the way we did it, brother. We worked 24/7. We was out in the street till after midnight, handing out flyers on street corners, selling tickets, and then with the TV ads and with the radio ads on all the radio stations. And then it eventually, we made it happen. All holy praise is due to Allah.
Yes, sir. Beautiful. Praise Allah. And I agree, Brother Minister, with your point about social media. We have to do a better job of actually putting boots on the ground. My next question is, Brother Brandon Cashborn Muhammad says, it was said that Black people in St. Louis are very hard people. Do you find the softer Black people in other cities, and has it made the work there more challenging?
Well, I mean, I'm not an expert in saying that, because I know that, as Minister Farrakhan said, wherever you find the Black man, you find us in the same condition. I believe mentally dead and spiritually dead is dead, So I can't say that the people in St. Louis is hard, but I say that the people in St. Louis, perhaps is halfway spoiled, because we haven't went through the trials that they've gone through in other cities like Atlanta and other places, throughout America. What brought St. Louis to the forefront was the killing of Mike Brown, the Mike Brown movement here in the city of St. Louis, and also the Stockley movement here. That really put St. Louis on the map as far as a movement is concerned. And it just happened in St. Louis, and St. Louis have not been the same since.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Excellent job, sir. Sister Rabia says, my minister represent Muslim 28. Thank you, Sister Rabia, for watching. Sister Veranda from Chicago says she loves it. All praises due to Allah. So inspiring. Thank you all for continuing to watch the People's Podcast. My next question for you, Brother Minister, is, what advice would you give to future fathers?
Oh, my brother, the first advice I would tell them is to get married.
Mm.
And find a good sister to get married to, and treat her, treat her with dignity, treat her right, lift her up, and also be willing to put all your financial resources into your household to make sure that we are living well and the children are doing well. Put your energy into the children to make sure they grow up and get their education, etc., etc. So it's a lifelong journey, because I've been married now 49 years and been with the same woman 51 years.
Praise be
So
to Allah.
divorce has never been a decision that we ever had to make. And my children are all grown and they doing well in life. All holy praise is due to Allah. But you look
Yes,
forward
sir.
to
Yes, sir.
I would advise young brothers and sisters to put yourself in a position to get married, because that's the ultimacy. That's what you want to do in life, is to find your mate, find your partner in life in relationship to male and female. All praises is due to Allah. And I contribute Islam for me being married this long, brother, and being with my wife this long. And I still enjoy my family immensely.
Beautiful. Yes,
If
sir.
it wasn't for my
How
family,
has
I
you
couldn't have done what I'm
spoke
doing.
earlier?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mm. Oh no, sorry. Yes, sir. No, it's on me. Thank you, brother minister, and thank you once again for your sacrifice and the sacrifice of your family. We spoke before we went live about you becoming a grandfather. How has becoming a grandfather impacted your life?
Oh, brother. I mean, look, I show more love to the grandchild. I didn't know I had that kind of love. My daughter told me, Daddy, you didn't show us that kind of love.
Yeah,
It's
yes,
been a
sir.
joy.
Yes, sir.
I'm really a family man, brother. I really am. My children grown and gone, but we still go on vacations together. And my happiest moment is when everyone is at the house and we having dinner and things like that together.
Mm. Praise be to Allah. Okay, yes, sir. Sister Teresa Pearl says, all praise to Allah. That's a beautiful answer and testimony. Brother Tony Muhammad says, his minister, St. Louis greatest. Excellent. Okay. And Erica Johnson puts a smile. My next question for you, sir, is what do you do for fun, brother minister?
Oh man, I just mentioned some of the things I do for fun. Of course,
Yes,
I like sports, but I don't have time to really sit down and look at a whole game. I like boxing, of course, but
okay.
I like to go out to a movie with my wife, and my children like to go with us, brother, for some reason, and my daughter, she still likes to go with us, and she thinks she's running things now, but
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
we like to just get together, go on vacation together. That's fun. We like to go out for dinner. We definitely like to do that. Of course, this pandemic have kept us from doing that, a lot of times, It has kept us from actually going out, period. So I've been shut in for a long time now, brother, But that's really fun.
Yes,
Family get-togethers is what we do for fun.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Sister Liz says, love the grands. People saying, great answer. Brother Hashim says, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. Brother Hashim said, that's his father. Yes, sir. Brother Kareem Davenport, may Allah continue to bless our big brother. Yes, sir. And people saying, that's excellent job. Ramadan Mubarak family. Ramadan Mubarak, Brother Paul. I have some more questions for you, Brother Minister, but I want to just stop for a brief commercial break for our sponsors. If you have a business you would like to sponsor, the $sign on Cash App, the People's Podcast, and we will promote your business as well. My brother Rashad and Jamal, business partners, Street Premiere Video Production and Editing. Thank you all. They have a 4K camera, a drone. They do editing. Reach out to them on social media. Just type in Street Premiere. Also, my sister Miriam has a coloring book and children's book, ABC I Love Me. It is on Amazon. Thank you very much, Sister Miriam, for your support as well. Please go out and get that. My second book, which is a coloring book, is on Amazon called Cleopatra. Thank you all for your support who get that. My sister, okay, I'm coming to my sister Naima. 1 second. My sister Naima has a dance company called Stay on Point Dance Academy LLC on Instagram. She teaches children ballet and dance. Thank you very much. She does it virtually because of the pandemic, so you don't have to be in the same city as her. You can do it. Supreme Men's Clothing, St. Louis, Missouri, 10835 West Florissant Avenue. The phone number is 314-528-5555. If you're in St. Louis, please go by and see our brother. He'll keep you fresh. He does a great job of clothes. BMW Entertainment, our brother Ronald in Phoenix, Arizona, they do event planning. They travel all around the country to put on events. If you need an event planned, reach out to our brother BMW Entertainment in Phoenix, Arizona. Sister Shelly Muhammad in Las Vegas, designer of designs of composure.com. Khaliq's Boutique on Instagram. Sister Tia Vinos Muhammad, she used to live in St. Louis, but now she's in New Orleans. She has Raising Black Millionaire flashcards for young children if you want to teach them economic empowerment and financial development. Thank you all very much. Brother Minister, just a few more. This is my commercial break. Akira's Coffee, Akiras.com. Brother Aaron in Chicago, 773-860-1696. Please, and all of you all who are watching, please let them know that you heard their sponsorship on the People's Podcast. He will ship coffee anywhere you want in the country. The bean, coffee bean, and you can make your own coffee at your home. HollyTexture.com, natural hair products and coloring in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Supreme Team Insurance, Todd X. McGraw, 803-521-2787. PPCNaturesV.com, Black-owned HIV and HSV immunotherapy. That's Brother Eric in Phoenix. Also, Supreme Express, the X Factor in transportation and logistics out of Houston, Texas. Brother Chantel X, that's a trucking company, and they specialize in refrigeration and freight. Thank you. And Brother Minister, one last but not least, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, AbdulSharif.com, my father's book. Thank you all for your sponsorship, and thank you, Brother Minister, for your patience. My next question, Brother Minister, is will you ever write a book?
Well, that's a good question, and you're not the only one that have asked me that, my brother. Maybe I need to sit down and start putting together my outline, because I think that a lot of things that have happened in the nation over the years, I think it has to be put out there and has to be expressed. And that's a good question, and it's an excellent idea too. But let me get through this pandemic first, okay? And
yes, sir.
Maybe I will. I do have the desire to write a book, my brother. I really do.
Okay, beautiful, sir. And we look forward to reading it. And inshallah, when you write your book, please come back so that we can promote it and we can get the exclusive on the People's Podcast, Brother Minister. My next question is, what do you want your legacy to be, sir?
I about 2 or 3 years ago, student minister Ishmael asked me that same question. It's it laid me back. So, I told him, I said, I have never thought about my legacy, or what I wanted to, what my legacy to be. And I had never thought about it. But I know recently I've come to understand that perhaps the reason why I've been on post here so long is the fact that I believe my purpose is to keep Muhammad Mosque number 28 open and going when the minister leaves. So, but my attached to him. My legacy is attached to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I'm not in a position to claim a legacy for myself. I don't believe, I have never looked at myself as building an individual legacy for myself. Okay. I just, want to be remembered as a good person, that I did my work, and I pray Allah that I will continue to be successful. All praises is due to Allah, that I will be able to treat the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan right and correctly, and I hope continue to lead them in the proper direction and following and being obedient to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent answer, and thank you all for continuing to watch the People's Podcast. Brother Minister, you have been a great guest, and I just have one more follow-up question with you because of what you said about when the minister leaves. What is your plan to help the doors stay open in the absence physically of the Mohammed Salus Farrakhan?
Well, of course, in the nation, we just have to have the faith and the motivation, brother, to want to work. But there is a council in Chicago. So I mean, I think the nation is really in good shape, and I can smile based on how Minister Ishmael is teaching up there on Sundays, brother. And I mean, and the National Labor's Supreme Captain, Sister National Captain, and all the rest of the laborers, brother, National Secretary, all of these people that's there in Chicago helping the minister. I mean, it's not just me, but I have to be obedient even to them once he does leave. But in truth, I really don't like to talk about the minister leaving, brother. I think sometimes we use that terminology too much and we use it loosely, but we don't know how it's going to happen and what's going to happen. I know the scriptures say some will see me go. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It would be a blessing if I saw him go, but the point about it is
yes,
that
sir.
we know exactly how it's going to go. But I know if we hold steadfast and maintain our faith and hold on to the rope of Allah, everything's going to be okay. Because I think the seed has already been planted and that seed have sent a shoot down into the earth. Now it's sending one up. And I believe we are just like the tree, as we used to sing the song in church, standing by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be
yes,
removed.
sir.
And I think we're going to be strong and we're going to make him proud upon his return.
Praise be to Allah. And thank you all for watching. And Brother Minister, I've learned so much from you in this interview, and I'm sure other people have. Thank you for your information as well as your inspiration. I want to thank you again and thank your family. Make sure we can't stress this enough to thank your wife and your children and your grandchild for their sacrifice as well. And thank the believers in St. Louis for supporting you all these years, sir. It's an honor to have you on the People's Podcast, and we look forward to bringing you back, inshallah, when you have your book, so we can learn more of an intimate side of you and your journey in Islam, sir.
Brother, thank you so much for having me. I really and truly enjoyed myself, and I appreciate you. And I just want to say, I pray to Allah that he continue you to be successful, brother, because I like to see the young people, shine. I like to see the young people doing this work, and you continue to do your work, and may Allah continue to bless you.
Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.